Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's Brave Cat here once again with another Frontier Signals update. So I found another cool paper, but we should have a fairly short update for today. I don't normally wear really bright t-shirts like this, but you know, if you recognize the logo on there, yeah, you know. So, okay, let's just run over the space weather really quickly here, and I'll show you something else that I found. So things have once again been very quiet. But there's one thing I noticed that looks a little bit intimidating. So we can see here on the solar wind, everything's been pretty nominal. I mean, the solar wind is still kicked up above 400 kilometers a second, and the density appears to be fluctuating quite a bit. But we haven't actually had any real disturbances going on, despite the fact that there is quite a few various active regions going on. And we saw this this little tiny skinny coronal hole here. It is pretty much opened up, so now that it is starting to face us, it's actually started to open up here. So we can take a quick look at the evolution of that. It happened pretty suddenly right here as it just kind of opens up, and you know, we can see that things on the sun never stay the same. It's kind of like the weather in Colorado. If you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. It's kind of like the same thing on the sun, basically. So anyways, the thing that seems a little bit intimidating, taking a look at the sunspot images on our side, well, you know, lots of small regions here, not too much complexity, but then take a look at the far side region, and we see this massive, huge area that is very dark on the helioseismic imagery. So, you know, we could maybe expect to see something pop out when this thing goes all the way back around to the left side here. So, you know, again, it's a kind of imaging system that isn't 100%, but, you know, this looks like a pretty dark area here. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And, you know, hopefully it's nothing crazy. I think right now, really just paying attention to any potential far side blasts going on. So I'll try to pay attention here to the chronograph images, because if there is a very large far side blast that happens with this thing, then that could give us a good indication that this is an actual thing to maybe be worried about. But other than that, things are looking pretty optimal. So let's take a look at this article here. It looks like they are, let's see, this is from a website called frontiersin.org, kind of almost similar to the name of mine, Frontier Signals, but you know, they have made a method that helps to kind of engage a broader audience regarding geomagnetic excursions. Seems like this process and this scientific field work here is actually reaching much larger audiences, which is a good thing for sure. So it looks like they are trying to, or what they did was they created some sort of audio visualization for the Earth's magnetic field. So they took, you know, all these various locations on Earth and basically made each one of them into like a speaker. And then they have this kind of physical area. It's like, I don't know, maybe the size of a parking lot or something. And they basically, you know, put all these speakers around that correspond to different spots on Earth. And, you know, as you walk around this area, it's supposed to kind of give you this kind of audio visualization of how the magnetic field changes based on location, on region. So, you know, not only does the magnetic field change throughout time, but it's also different depending on where you are. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I'll have the link for that down below if you want to read through more of it. Stuff like this is really cool. Finding more ways to engage with people outside of the purely scientific realm. Definitely always a good thing. So, you know, we'll move on from that here, take a look at the earthquakes. So we're taking a look at the last 7 days just to give a good representation about what's been going on. So really quickly here, we'll just hit Australia because there's been, you know, a decent amount of events going on here. Nothing crazy, but we do definitely have some movement going on here. And we've still had earthquakes going along pretty much the entire Indo-Australian plate, including south and west over here, kind of in the South Indian Ocean. So we've had still a lot of movement happening overall, even though, we haven't had anything crazy happen, like, anything above a 6 in, since that one happened in Japan. Let's just take off the Australian feed for a second, because it does mess with some of the feeds here, some of the duplicate earthquakes on these deep earthquakes, because that's what I want to point out. So in the last 7 days, it looks like we have had definitely an uptick in deep earthquakes. There's normally quite a few down here by Fiji and, a couple over here by these other spots, but it looks like there's just been definitely more than usual, including, 2 or 3 5s. Maybe let's see kind of where that is here. We've had a few 5s in the deep earthquake realm as well, and multiple in these other locations. So over here, kind of the middle of Indonesia, south of the Philippines, and then of course over here by Japan, there's been 3 deep earthquakes just up here. So definitely an uptick, to say the least. And so let's just kind of drag this back down a little bit here and take a look at the West Coast and just the United States in general. So, we've still had pretty much the same kind of level of heightened activity here with, I believe, what are these, 3s or 4s? We got 3s here. Okay, that's not too bad. But still, pretty equidistantly spaced as well, I might add. So we got these things going all the way up and down California, going down here. So, things haven't gone anywhere. Things are still doing what they're doing. And we take a look at the tremor map, still 0 tremors, last tremor 5 days ago. So we're going to need to keep an eye on this, because if it gets much further than the lack of activity that we've had, then, things could start to be getting a little bit weird over here in terms of the slow slip movement just suddenly stopping, even though there's plenty of other activity going on. So clearly stuff's moving. But, if we see this whole subduction zone basically just kind of stop, then, that could be a pretty good indicator that something bigger is building up. So definitely need to keep an eye on that. And we've seen the tremors in Texas and even the surrounding states, like in Oklahoma, have also had an uptick. So again, there's millions, literally millions of, oil and gas drill points over here, definitely contributing to a lot of these factors, and it seems to be kind of spreading out a little bit. So that has also kind of gone up. And take a look at things over here in Europe. So, pretty minimal activity over by Italy still, but, we still have all this stuff going on down here, kind of following Greece and the Mediterranean, western, even eastern Turkey, and then even up here, kind of up north. So there's a 4.3 up here. So still quite a bit of energy and movement going through Europe as well. A little bit above average, and even a slightly deep 3 over here as well. So that is pretty much what we got going on there. And the volcano list is much shorter for today. This is it. There's really not much going on, especially compared to yesterday. So at least we got that going for us. But I think that'll wrap things up for today. Just keep things kind of short and simple. So hope you all enjoyed, got some out of this for today. Please like and subscribe for more. Share this video if you dare. And as always, I'll catch you all in the next.